Had his contributions to tennis ended when he retired in '96, Mats Wilander would still have been one of the legends of the game. 7 Grand Slam singles titles, including 3 out of the 4 in '88. But in the quarter century since, Mats has been one of the leading Pied Pipers for tennis around the globe as a teacher and a broadcaster and a de facto traveling salesman. And we are very pleased to welcome Mats Wilander back to TC Live. Mats, great to see you. I'm guessing if you're going to be quarantined, it's probably not the worst thing in the world to be quarantined in Idaho, where you live and own a tennis club. How have you been doing, and how's your family been doing?
Yeah, thank you, Brett. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, Prakash. We're doing well in Idaho. Obviously, we have a lot of space, and we are allowed to go outside. I think the problem that we ran into here in Sun Valley, Idaho, is that we did not really have the hospital capabilities. I think we had one intensive care unit bed when this whole thing hit, and eventually got it up to 3. So if you got sick with corona in this county, you had to go to either Boise or Twin Falls. But in terms of space around you and social distancing, this is a good place.
Matt, we've been talking a lot of Davis Cup today, and I know it means a little bit different to each country. What does Davis Cup mean in Sweden?
Davis Cup means everything in Sweden. As a small country, we were able to compete in a few sports around the world. Some of them was in different kinds of skiing. Of course, in ice hockey, we are really good, and we often medal at Olympics and World Championships. And then tennis. And of course, we had Björn Borg, we had me and Stefan Edberg winning Grand Slams. But even without the 3 of us, we were always able to be competitive in Davis Cup in tennis because you only need 2 or 3 players, basically. Although we had at times 6 or 7 players in the top 20 in the 80s and the 90s. So Davis Cup is where all my stories, which all my friends want to talk about. And the Davis Cup is basically the reason I started playing tennis.
You picked up a few titles in the 80s in Davis Cup. Is there one title run that stands out to you, maybe a little bit more special than another?
Yeah, in 1987, we beat India in the finals in Gothenburg on clay. Your dad was part of that. Your uncle Anand was part of that. Ramesh Krishnan, of course, was part of that. I think Sashi Menon was part of that. And so we won at home. And I have to tell you, it was a great effort by you guys to get to the finals. But on clay in Sweden against me and Joakim Nyström and Henrik Sundström, and we were starting to celebrate pretty early in the week there, Prakash, to bring the title in Sweden. So I think we might have started on Tuesday or Wednesday before the matches started, Prakash. Don't tell your dad.
Listen, whenever he describes the weekend, he always says, we had the best time in the world, except when we were on the tennis court.
Yeah, we did. I have to say, Davis Cup really is the reason why I play tennis. Davis Cup is what was shown on TV. It's how my dad got into tennis originally, because obviously anything Sweden did, we would watch. It worries me that Davis Cup is played on a neutral site these days, because as a sports fan, you would tune in to watch Sweden at home in any sport, but I hope that they get the Davis Cup situation organized, because Davis Cup itself is a wonderful, wonderful event, and I would not be sitting here without it.
Matt, you've been a part of some pretty spectacular, epic matches, but here talking about U.S. matches, which we are a lot today, one that comes up is certainly your 82 match against John. Over 6 hours, just absolutely insane. What was it like to be a part of that, especially at such a young age?
Well, it was a little bit of an out-of-body experience. Of course, I had seen John just lose in the Wimbledon final to Jimmy Connors. Of course, I had seen Björn Borg beat John McEnroe on different surfaces at Wimbledon as well. I think I came in with no confidence to win the match, but some idea of how Björn used to play John, and how John kind of forced you to play him. I mean, he was on his racket, and he was the one directing things. I think I got a first look at John's determination, to use a kinder word than the one that came to my mind first. But he was stretching the rules. I think Arthur Ashe at times was having a hard time. But again, he won fair and square. And obviously, John is a good friend of mine. And one thing you cannot ever overlook with John McEnroe is his competitive juice is unreal. And it's very hard to ever look beyond that, even though he's got hands made from, I don't know who gave him those hands.
We are joined on TC Live by Hall of Famer, 7-time major champion Mats Wilander. Mats, you've got so much going on. You've got the tennis club. You have got Wilander on Wheels. You have got the broadcasting that you do around the world. And now we understand that you've got a new podcast, part of Kickserve Radio. How did that come to pass? And are you enjoying that platform?
I am enjoying that very much, yes. It came into fruition. I ran into Andy Zodin, who's the president of the Intermountain Tennis Conference. Of course, I live in Idaho. I've been traveling around Idaho and Montana and Wyoming to different tennis tournaments with my one son, Carl. I went to the Intermountain Tennis Conference in Denver. I wanted to introduce myself to all the local teaching tennis pros and college pros and high school pros, and I wanted to tell them that I have a tennis club in Haley, Idaho called Gravity Fitness and Tennis. I'm hoping that people want to come and visit this area, which is Sun Valley, come and ski and whatnot. And Andy Zodin, who's a great guy, great coach, he has his radio show, and he said maybe we should do something. And yes, I love it. I love anything has to do with trying to promote tennis in the world globally. In Sweden. Now I'm in Idaho, and tennis here needs to grow for sure. They got a fantastic attitude in the Rocky Mountains towards a very competitive game such as tennis and being an individualistic sport. So I love it. I love it. We have great shows coming up. We got a show, the next one, I think, I believe it's called 17 in Paris. We're going to talk about my win in '82 and Michael Chang's win. Johnny Levine, an all-American college player from my era, is part of the show as well. Werewolves in London. We talk about Wimbledon. New York State of Mind. So very deep, Brett. You would enjoy it.
Matt, I have a fond memory of you as well, playing against you. You came as a captain with Thomas Johansson and Jonas Bjorkman to India. Talk about your experience shifting from a player to a captain. You still had so many tremendous players on the Swedish team all through the years.
Very different, Prakash. I mean, some players you really didn't have to say anything to. I remember the first tie I was the captain, Jonas Bjorkman was playing singles, doubles, and then singles on Sunday. And we played Gustavo Curtin and his fellow Brazilians. Jonas, he won the first day in 5 sets. He lost the doubles in 5 sets, and he was playing Guga the following day, and he was literally in the changeover asking me to tell him exactly what I thought he should be doing because he was too tired. I said, well, serve and volley on the first point, angle the volley over to Guga's backhand side. Second point, kick serve to Robin Söderling, who was crazy on the court. A brilliant team player and Davis Cup player, and a sense of humor that I've never experienced being a captain. Which I know you might find strange, but just an unbelievably funny guy in the heat of the moment. So everyone very different.
Great stories, Mats. First of all, thank you for joining us in what looks like quintessential Idaho digs with the log walls behind you. We look forward to hearing the next episode of Kickserve Radio with all that French Open content, kickserveradio.com. Great to see you, Mats.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Prakash. Well.